Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om. Before we take up the usual topic, we thought we would also share some thoughts of Swami Chinmayanji Maharaj on chapter number 11, the introduction. Something for all of us to think deeply, reflect deeply. It might help us in our spiritual sadhana. In the general scheme of development of the theme, Lord Krishna had explained already his immanence in all the objects of the world in 10th chapter Vibhuti. This expansion of himself in all objects and beings as a perceptible divine presence is exhaustively explained in the previous chapter entitled Vibhuti Yoga. Studying this chapter, keeping in view the scheme of development in the Gita, we detect here a perfectly modern scientific method of investigation employed. Normally, this 11th chapter is named as Vishwarupa Darshana, a cosmic vision. Many of us may form different concepts about this cosmic vision, but here it is in a different method Swamiji is employing. Very, very interesting. The declaration that the mud is the essence of all pots is established only when we prove not only that all pots have mud in them, but the mud contains all pots of all shapes and dimensions always. All pots have mud in them, but that the mud contains all pots of all shapes and dimensions always. To see the mud in every pot, we have only to train our eyes to detect the mud separate from the pot shapes. But to see all pots in the mud, no doubt the observer needs a special eye. He needs, because normally we are carried away by the external appearance. And we label it nice, beautiful, big, small. But hardly we recognize the mud. Similarly, as it was described in the last chapter, to see the self, Atman, peeping through the windows of finite objects is relatively an easy task, but it is hard indeed for a mortal to cognize at once the entire universe in one reality. And yet this is possible with the eye of knowledge, which knows so well the art of discrimination. What exactly makes the things of the world exist separately from one another? My physical structure is certainly separated from the form and substance of the book that I am reading. Yeah. I am separated on the chair on which I sit or the table that is in front of me. All different, There is space. I am separated from all others, and every one of them is separate from everything else. Scientifically viewed, the elements that constitute the physical girth of all things in the world are but the same. Excepting the 5 elements. Without the 5 elements, we and neither the objects nor we exist. The core of the creation. Are? Huh? Sit here now. Scientifically viewed, the elements that constitute the physical girth of all things in the world are but the same, yet we do not feel the oneness. They being separated from each other to exist as individualized entities. What exactly is the factor that divides body from body, that separates objects from object? On a careful analysis, it will be quite clear to the thinker that it is the concept of space that divides the physical structures into independent islands. I am separate from the book, There is a space. That which separates me from you or me from my book is the intervening space. Within my forearm, from the elbow to wrist, there is certainly a sense of oneness, because there is no intervening space present within the homogeneity of its entire length, while my fingers are separate, each being interleaved by space. In case the concept of space has been totally blotted out, it will clear that all objects would immediately come together into a happy embrace and would represent themselves as one congenial, homogeneous whole. And in this mass of things, there must be all the shapes and forms of all things of the world at one and the same place and time. This is the concept of the cosmic man. The vision of the world, when viewed by my mind, in which the concept of time and space have been dried up, though not totally. So to understand this, we look at ourselves. Though the different organs are functioning in our body, each one varied organs doing varied functionings. What the eye does, the ear does not do. What the tongue cannot do. What the tongue does, the smell cannot do. What the nose does, the skin cannot do. Similarly, 5 organs of action. What the hands do, the legs do not do. But in spite of all these varied manifestation, there is a being of oneness, from here to the tip of the toe. Because there is no space in between.
Just like a factory, Swamiji.
Hmm?
Sakshi.
Just like a factory.
Factory.
Ah. Oneness. Yes, you are right. Production is going on. Quality control is going on. Packing is going on. So many things in one factory.
Without holiday.
Eh?
Without holiday.
Without holiday. Correct. Without holiday. So there is a oneness, something for all of us to think deeply. First of all, the tangible gain of this is, Papa used to say in a simple form, individual is the universal, microcosm is the macrocosm. It was difficult for us to understand straight away. In the first page itself, he says, human life is a rare acquisition. Its purpose is to know the Atman, by knowing which you have nothing more to know. Everyone must realize that the divine is within him. God is within your heart. You are his embodiment. You are he, but you do not know that. There is a veil of ignorance separating you from God. Remove the veil. First God, everything else comes next. The microcosm is the macrocosm. The individual is the universal. God dwells in every being and thing, however small, in his entirety and perfection.
So like body, the whole universe is connected. The whole universe is one, like body.
Another quotation of Papa. The life principle that activates all being is the same. The life principle. We all breathe the same air, walk on the same earth, and are equally entitled to the enjoyment of the amenities which nature provides, whether it is sun, whether it is space, whether it is water. The earth yields its rich gift to all alike. The differences between man and man on the material plane are, in truth, unnatural, improper. Because the component parts and the composition of human bodies and the qualities inherent in them are not diverse and conflicting. If we look with the pure vision that belongs to the enlightened mind, we do not see any clear-cut line of demarcation that isolates man from man, one set of people from another, one nation from another. We are indeed parts of the stupendous whole, WHOAD. We are units that form the world community or family, so we can live and act as members of a world brotherhood or federation. Something for all of us to think, All of us exist only because of the same air. So suppose we raise ourselves from the individual level to a higher level, then when we see that all these common factors are within us, everyone. 98.4 degree means it is 98.4 degree for everybody. If 1 lakh times the heartbeat means it beats 1 lakh times for every day. If 6 liters of blood is traveling through 1 lakh 20,000 kilometers in our body means it applies to everybody. Think. When we eat, what is needed for the body, what is needed for the blood, what is needed for the bone, it takes. What is not needed, it is purged out in the form of stools and urine. It's all same, no? That's why the life principle is the same. Something for all of us to think. So he says, that is why he says, the individual is the universal. God dwells in every being and thing, however small, in its entirety and perfection. Therefore, think not in terms of the individual, but always in terms of the universal. Do everything for the sake of Him. Then your ego sense will vanish. You will realize you are the universal spirit, changeless, eternal, infinite. This is your goal. And everything that we use, okay, air, water, space, earth, everything is sun, everything is same for us, that we can easily understand. Second thing is, when I look at myself, the person who brought out the specs, the person who brought out the language, the person who brought out the first chair, the laptop, electricity, fan, the light, the civil construction, the road, the automobile, mobile, anything we name, even the eatables, dosha, idli, upma, bisibela bath, education, think about it. All are available for everybody. None of the people who have invented or discovered or innovated have specified the beneficiary.
But most of the things are originated from the self-interest only, Swamiji, isn't it?
Huh?
Most of the things are originated from the self-interest only, isn't it?
Most of the
First
things
man
are
who
created
has done
with
it for
self-interest.
self-interest, isn't it?
I cannot understand what you said.
Most things which are created in the
First man
world.
who found it out, Bismillah Baba,
No, you just, that is the prompting God has given them, To bring it out, He gives some reasons. Either a probing nature, or maybe, as you said, to eke out at their livelihood, something. But the outcome of their pursuit is available for everybody, It is not denied to anybody. Think. Whatever one uses, right from the moment he is born or she is born, till the day he or she quits, whatever that is needed for my comfortable living, I don't know, I have not authored it, I have not produced it. That is why we say He has brought it out. Because the beneficiary has not been specified. The brush we use in the morning, it was a gift by one doctor in United States in 1700s. None of us know that, no? Nowadays Google Baba is helping us whenever we want to know where from it has come. Crores and crores of people are using it now. Start thinking on those lines, I am enjoying because of the factors other than me. When somebody does, suppose he's a good cook, everybody will ask him to undertake the job, whenever there is a feast, there is a function. So that means the dedication he employs brings the credibility. Think about all those things. Anybody, a good doctor, an auditor, a teacher, Where from he gets that? These facilities are available for everybody. Anyway, coming back to this, that should be there in our mind, common man, the cosmic man. And in this mass of things, there must be all the shapes and forms of all things in the world at one and the same place and time. This is the concept of cosmic man. The vision of the world when viewed at by a mind in which the concept of time and space have been tied up, though not fully. Supposing a toy maker makes hundreds of different forms of animals, birds, and creatures and stock them in an almirah. Toy maker. Viewed through its glass pans, no doubt the monkey doll is different from the cow doll, and both of them are separate from the baby doll. But suppose the doll maker changes his mind and he decides to destroy the whole lot and make out of the stuff something more profitable. On the shelf of the almirah, the same toys are separated from each other by the intervening space. Suppose the toy maker decides to destroy them all to squeeze them into one ball of wax. In this act, the maker of dolls eliminates the spaces that were before between the dolls, and in thus bringing them together, he would be creating a huge ball of wax on the surface of which we could see almost traces of all the dolls that were brought together. The tail of the monkey, the face of the cow, the smile of the child, the head of the dog, etc. Some traces will be there, but essence. Similarly, if Krishna could dry up the concept of space in the mind of Arjuna, it is in inverted commas, no? The prince could see the whole universe in his own palm. However, here we find that Arjuna's mind was given enough freedom to move about within the space limit of Krishna's divine structure. Naturally, Dhananjaya sees in the Krishna form the entire universe compressed and packed. This concept of the cosmic man and the actual vision of it in the Gita satisfies the demand of demonstration of any age of intellectual self-assertion. Having seen the form, Arjuna gets completely converted both in his faith and in his understanding. In this chapter, we find how the exquisite dramatist in Vyasa has milked the Sanskrit language, tried to feed the beauty of his literary masterpiece. Apart from the chosen words and the mellifluous phrases, even metrical strategy is being employed here to heighten the dramatic situation and to paint clearly the emotion of wonderment, amazement, fear, reverence, devotion in Arjuna. Altogether, in the dignity of the concept, in the beauty of his diction, in the artistry of its depiction, in its inner stream of drama, this chapter has been rightly upheld by all as one of the highest philosophical poems in the world's treasure house of sacred books. So, especially when he says, Arjuna asks this question, O Lord, if you think it is possible for me to see it, do you please then show me your imperishable self-form? The previous stanza he said, indicating by a familiar idiom in Sanskrit, Arjuna accepts the technical thesis that had been declared by the Lord. Intellectually, it has been satisfactorily proved that the Lord is immanent in all names and forms. Still, the intellect awaits a demonstration. Therefore, Arjuna says, I desire to see thy Ishvara form. He is an Ishvara who in himself expresses omnipotence, infinite wisdom, strength, virtue, splendor. These are the 6 qualities that are described in our Shastras as forming the characteristic features of the God principle. This was the occasion which decided Krishna to show to Arjuna that not only the Lord is immanent in all forms, but he is also the vehicle or receptacle in which all names and forms have their existence and play. Though with the enthusiasm of a fanatic believer in intellectualism, Arjuna demanded the demonstration. Immediately he realizes that his authority has perhaps crossed the frontiers of decency. If you think, if you think it is possible for me to see, he changes his. The demand in the previous stanza has been again repeated here, honeyed with the flavors of a dignified humbleness and pure reverence. This is equivalent to the usage of our ordinary life in our respectful appeals. And if I may be permitted to say, I will be much obliged if I have the honor to submit, if I may have the leave to say so. These are all the words we use, even today. The Pandava prince, as a result of a second thought, soothes his soldier language used in the previous stanza and says that the Lord's immutable universal form may be shown to him if you think me capable of seeing it. Like Arjuna, we are also unable to see the cosmic man, no? Though we have been hearing Papa's words, omnipresent, he always keeps on repeating the indwelling and all-pervading form. How many times we have read, we have repeated for ourselves. But still, are we trying to form? Are we trying to move toward that? No. When we read this, we know that we have to pray. It requires a jnana chakshu. We have to have not this ordinary eye. The modesty and reverence shown here are not a faked emotion expressed for cheaply. This is evident from the term he is using in addressing the Lord. In the first line, we find Krishna being addressed as the Lord, Prabhu. Oh. मन्यसे यदि तच्चख्यम मया द्रष्टुम इति प्रभो योगेश्वर तथो मे त्वं दर्शय आत्मन अव्ययम अव्ययमाय रूपम. That is the meaning. Prabhu, he is addressed as the Prabhu, Lord. So O Prabhu, in the first line we find Krishna being addressed as the Lord. And in the following line he is again addressed as the Lord of Yoga, Yogeshwara. These clearly indicate that Arjuna has come to feel that Krishna is not a mere mortal teacher, capable of only giving some intellectual ventilations and spiritual discourses, but that he is himself divine and a master of yogas, and therefore he is capable of fulfilling the request in case the teacher in Krishna feels that the student in Arjuna will be benefited by such a demonstration. The humble request of the earnest student never falls on deaf ears if it is made to a true teacher. Papa. So the Lord says, behold, O Partha, forms of me by hundreds and thousands of different sorts, divine, of various colors and shapes. Pashyemi Partha Rupami. Pashyemi Partha Rupani Shatashoda Sahasrasha Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Agradini cha. Pashyad Adityan Vasun Rudran Ashvino Marutastada Bahunam Vishtapurvani Paschajharani Bharata. So, if God is the essential stuff in all the ornaments, if gold is the essential stuff in all the ornaments, every ornament in the field must be in the total gold available. To see the gold in the ornaments is relatively easy, it being a physical perception. But to detect the presence of all ornament of different shapes and colors in the total gold is comparatively difficult inasmuch as it is the vision of the intellect. Keeping this idea in the mind, when you read the opening lines of the Lord's words, it becomes very significant. Behold, by hundreds and thousands, by different forms celestial, varied in colors and shapes, the charioteer being what he was, it was not necessary for him to change his form to that cosmic man. All that Arjuna had to do was to behold the form right in front of him. But unfortunately, the instrument of perception was not turned up for the object of his investigation. Therefore, Arjuna could not perceive that which was already in Krishna. Every every ornament is in gold, how to visualize. Not with this, only through the eye of wisdom. That which is lying beyond the focal length of telescope cannot be viewed by the observer. Even though the object may be present in a line with the axis of the instrument, in order to bring the farther object within the span of vision, the observer will have to make the required adjustment in the telescope. Similarly, here, I do not believe that Krishna transformed himself into a cosmic form, but he only helped Arjuna to gain the necessary inward adjustment so that he may perceive what was already there evidently in Krishna. Naturally, the Lord says, behold, the total world of perceivable things of all shapes and colors are indicated in the enumeration made by the Lord in the stanza. So when we read Papa's, the individual is the universal, microcosm is the macrocosm, that is the one which stimulates us. Ordinary I am an individual. I am separate from others. But when I start identifying the common factors in all, what happens in me, For example, the air we breathe, Oh, it is not that we are seeing the air, feeling the air. Feeling the air, then immediately through the words of wisdom we find that everybody exists because of the feeling of the air. It may not be a physical vision, something deeper than. Please think about it. So when we repeat Ram Nam, and when he says Ram stands for the subtle and mysterious power, we stop with that academic knowledge, That is why, in spite of doing, we don't feel. A hazy idea, unclear. When he says, in Quest of God, the new book, easy for you to take.
You gather to see.
It was about 2 years ago, Papa says first, before introducing the first chapter. He is defining what he means by the word Ram. It was about 2 years ago that Ram first kindled in the heart of his humble slave Ramdas a keen desire to realize his infinite love. To strive to approach and understand Ram, this is very important. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. Exactly, just now we read, All ornaments exist in the gold. If I am to understand that, what am I doing at the mental level? I try to remove all the forms, try to see the core content, gold, India. So he says, to strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. Because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. And what is Ram? Ram is a subtle and mysterious power. that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Birthless and deathless is He. He is present in all things and in all creatures who only appear as separate entities due to their ever-changing forms. To wake up from this illusion of forms is to realize at once the unity or love of Ram. Love of Ram means love of all beings, all creatures, all things in the world, because Ram is in all is in Ram, Ram is all in all. To realize this great truth, we, who through ignorance feel as separate individuals, should submit ourselves to the will and working of that infinite power, that infinite love, Ram, who is the one and all pervading. To realize the great truth, we, who through ignorance feel as separate individuals, should submit ourselves to the will and working of that infinite power. Then only we can see the common factor. So the first writings of Papa, you can see that. First book was In Quest of God, and before the chapter starts, he adds this: O Ram, the truth, the love, the goal of human perfection, all hail, all hail. So he introduces what Ram, and then only he starts talking about the narrative. So now, when we try to read this 11th chapter and then try to understand this in the light of this, probably it might show some light. But each one has to do it by themselves. Because it is the eye of wisdom that has to be opened, not our intellect. Once again, I will read and then let us see. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. The mud and the pot, Swamiji explained now. Different pots, different shapes, different utility, but mud is the common factor. Throughout those forms, mud is there, inherent, concurrent. When we go to his birthplace, we will see that, how he, when the clay is processed through a wheel, and then how he, through his manually doing also, how he brings out different shapes. And then he colors it, different colors. But everything has come from that mud. This is what Papa says. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. So that is, he said, all these things again he is bringing the forms. And it becomes again a mass of mud only.
Swamiji,
I
had understood receding from vanishing forms as, going away from the world.
No, it is not that.
Right.
Correct. You are right. So far we have been thinking that receding means recede from the world of vanishing forms. Now this 11th chapter introduction throws some light. It is for all of us to do some more plumbing deep within. He beautifully mentions about the toys, toy make, what is that? Huh? Easy for us to understand. Supposing a toy maker makes hundreds of different forms of animals, birds and creatures, and stock them in an almirah, viewed through his glass plan, no doubt the monkey doll is different from the cow doll, and both of them are separate from the baby doll. But suppose the doll maker changes his mind and decides to destroy the whole lot and make out of the stuff something more profitable. On the shelf of the almirah, the same toys are separated from each other by the intervening space. Suppose the toy maker decides to destroy all to squeeze them into one. In this act, the maker of dolls eliminated the spaces that were before between the dolls. That means the names and forms, Recede from the names and forms. If this act of the maker of dolls eliminated the spaces that were before between the dolls, and in thus bringing them together, he would be creating a huge ball of wax on the surface. And he also brings out a beautiful thing, something for all of us to think deeply. And in that process, he would be creating a huge, of which you would see almost traces of all. Aneka Bahudara Vaktra Netram, Then later on he will explain, I see different. So he says, the tail of the monkey, the face of the cow, the smile of the child, the head of the dog, So here in this chapter, he starts explaining. Though he is one, we are trying to understand Papa's word, the individual is the universal. Microcosm is the macrocosm. And how he introduces the word Ram, how he defines the Ram, whose name we are chanting. So the purpose is to lift ourselves from the separatedness to the, what is the other one called? Homogeneous. Oneness. The one core, the core of one's being. To strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms. Because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Just as the mud pervades and sustains,
Just like gold and gold ornaments.
Correct. So when he went for the global tour in 65 or 66, we don't exactly remember. And when he came back to Chennai,
65, Swami.
65.
1955.
65.
55.
Not 55, 65 global. We were all in Chennai at that time. 53, Chimya Mission was formed. So, and 64 or 65, first global tour. So when he came back, the special satsang was organized, in which Swamiji shared his experience of how he convinced the scientists, a group of scientists, that Sanatana Dharma, the Bhagavad Gita, everything is scientific, rational, logical, not a dictum or a dogma given to us by anybody. It is a verifiable science. And at that time, he used this mud and pot. We vividly remember mud and pot. He was telling them, without cause there cannot be effect. Effect is nothing but cause in different forms. Removal of the cause from the effect means nothingness. Therefore, the cause is inherent and concurrent in effect. These are his words. Without mud, there cannot be pots. Mud, pot is nothing but mud in different forms. Removal of mud from the pot means nothingness. Therefore, mud is inherent and concurrent in pots. Yeah, now we remember. So the idea now, it becomes very clear when we try to read this 11th chapter also. And when we try to understand Papa's words, individual is the universal. When he says Bijam Mam, when Bhagavad Gita in 7th chapter, he says, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the eternal seed of everything. So that is the cause, and we are the effects.
Swamiji,
Ah.
when we say individual is universal, every individual is a unit.
That's right.
Complete with all the things that you see in the universe.
That's right.
Panchabhuta,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah.
That's what it means.
No, we can approach it in any way. The idea is somehow we have to, individually something which we can easily understand, universally something, we have to understand with the Jnana Jakshu. This we should be very clear. So that is why he said individual to the universal. Micro
we have to extrapolate, Swamiji. Extrapolate.
Yeah. Think about it. And whatever way we get it, that will help us in our sadhana, not an intellectual assimilation. And you take the In Quest of God, first page, read, again ponder, then pray to him to reveal himself in our heart. Whose name we have been chanting for decades together, and we were not understanding, even though we have read this many a time, to strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms, because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. This is Papa's first writing. Hot, immediately after his, the realization, the revelations. It stays straight away, it is coming out.
It is the grace and
Think about it.
Grace and experience. Without grace, we can't experience.
So this we keep on praying to him. You have provided everything to us now. We were thinking that we have to retire from field of activity, then only we will be able to receding from the names and forms. We thought, no. To trying to see the indwelling reality in all changing names and forms, which is called Ram.
This is much better, Swamiji. This is more clear. Can you say that again?
It is more clear. She wants you to repeat it.
We are all convinced about the varied manifestations, because all of us have the eyes, all the organs of perception. So we can easily identify everything and we can see that, okay. But we are unable to see the unifying factor in it, which cannot be seen with the physical eye. The physical eye can see the varied manifestations. But here Papa is introducing a new idea that if you withdraw from the varied forms, what is it that makes that form? That subtle and mysterious power. When he says subtle and mysterious power, it is not tangible, palpable, Even our intellect can only go to some extent, because we have heard the word and the dictionary meaning we know what is subtle and mysterious. That's all. But it cannot take us to that experience. Subtle means opposite of gross. Mysterious means inexplicable. These are the two words normally we understand. So that means we need another equipment, another vision, another eye. Through that eye only we will be able to realize the subtle and mysterious power. So as an individual we feel our helplessness. So we pray. You have made us to understand that you are there. The subtle and mysterious power is there. We can understand because I can see everybody. Composition and everything is same. The life force is same. Everything, that's all I can understand. 100% convinced. But to see it as a one unit is a tough job. And the other day we were reading, now probably that also might help us. We have taken up for so many times, but now I think within this context, it might help us throw some more light. Where is that? Universal. To develop this universal love, everybody can see it, okay. To develop this universal nature, which is natural to everyone, you must begin with yourself. From the crown of your head to the tip of your toes, you already love yourself, do you not? Even though the hand is not the leg is not the toe is not the finger is not the nose is not the ear, each part is different in shape, name, and function. Sit down. Sit down, sit down. Going on. The hands perform function the legs never can. Within me, so many different shapes, forms, and purposes exist. Yet am I not the one single being? From the tip of the toes to the crown of the head, is it still not one I? How do you feel this oneness, despite the distinctions? Hand, leg, thumb, nose, we still say, this is me. I pervade every cell of my body. Imagine a person who is 6 feet tall, weighs 250 pounds, and has a 60-inch chest. If someone were to suggest inserting a small pin somewhere in the body and allowed you to choose where, would you be able to easily decide? Wherever the pin is placed, you would object because you love every cell equally. Each part is me. Even in your body, accidents happen. Your own finger may poke your eye, or you may bite your own tongue. Will you, even if you are the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, accuse your finger of aggression against your eye? Will you prosecute it for attacking a part that has always served it faithfully? No. Immediately all the fingers rush together, gently rub the eye, and silently say, I am sorry, I never meant it. The eye, though watering and red, silently forgives the finger. But if it were the finger of a stranger that hurt your eye, your sense of justice would cry out, punish him, because you see him as separate from yourself. My friends, if you reflect deeply, you will find that the whole world is your body. Just as every cell within you is sacred, so too is every living being, every mineral, every part of the outer world. Nothing is separate from you. When this understanding dawns, good will naturally arise towards all beings, not because of duty, but because they are not separate from your own self. Service then is no longer service before self or after self, it simply is. Again, he's not satisfied. When the calf muscle itches, the hand rushes to scratch it. The hand does not bargain. Leg, you stretch yourself. Why should I? What will you give me in return? No, it rushes with joy. Because the comfort of the leg is the comfort of the whole body. In the same way, when sorrow is seen anywhere, we must run to elevate it, not because they are others, but because they are our own self. This universal vision is what Vedanta teaches, seeing Rama, meaning the one reality everywhere. Once you see this, the sense of plurality disappears. Distinctions at national, communal, individual levels are wiped out into one divine presence. With this unfoldment in yourself, you realize that the world is preserved by this unity. Even now, the world is not destroyed. It is we who create destruction for ourselves by misunderstanding reality. If we stop creating divisions and selfishness, the world will reorganize itself. Learn to serve others selflessly, because in doing so, you serve your own self. So here we are trying to understand Papa's the first expression. Even the small book called the Thus Speaks Ramdas. It holds the key. Human life is a rare acquisition. Its purpose is to know the Atman, by knowing which you have nothing more to know. Everyone must realize that the divine is within him. God is within your heart. You are his embodiment. You are he, but you do not know that. There is a veil of ignorance separating you from God. Remove it. First God, everything else comes next. Remove the veil, no? That is the Jnana Chakshu. We cannot remove it with this eyes. Mataji declared in simple words, I am all pervading. Physically, her body is separate, no? The microcosm is the macrocosm. The individual is the universal. God dwells in every being and thing in its entirety and perfection. Therefore, think not in terms of the individual, but always in terms of the universal. Do everything for the sake of God. Then your ego sense will vanish. You will realize you are the universal spirit, changeless, eternal, infinite. This is your goal. First page. No? Your life is intended for the service of all. The expansion of the individual into the universal is possible only when God thought rules your mind, God love fills your heart, God's will governs your actions. That means God stands for the subtle and mysterious power. Whenever you see anybody, you must see not only the external form, but also the indwelling reality. Because in us, there is an indwelling reality. Though different varied manifestations, many organs are functioning differently. So whenever you see anybody, you must see not only the external form, but also the indwelling reality. This is the true vision. This alone can free you from the sense of diversity, make you realize the unity and oneness of all existence. It is not merely in holy persons and places that you should see God, but in all, everywhere, even in the marketplace. You must always feel the divine presence in and about you. Not only in you, about you. Papa is taking us to PhD classes, but still, we will slowly try to learn, and pray to him. Our puny intellect cannot reach beyond certain areas.
Is it not very difficult to comprehend the level of Swamiji?
Very difficult. Very difficult, very difficult. But it is possible, they have shown.
It is, of course.
Very difficult, very difficult. Because we have conditioned our mind not to go beyond the names and forms.
Limited.
So when he says receding from the names and forms, that is a special thing on which we have to now keep on arguing. To love, to strive to approach and understand Ram is to recede from the world of vanishing forms, because Ram is the only truth, the only reality. Ram is a subtle and mysterious power that pervades and sustains the whole universe. Birthless and deathless is he. That means he cannot be limited or circumscribed, That is birthless and deathless. That is the only word one can use. Not in the usual parlance, you say birth and death. It cannot be localized. Birth of an individual, death of an individual. Birthless and deathless is he. He is present in all things and in all creatures who only appear as separate entities due to their ever-changing forms. A lot of food for thought he has given. Let us all try to digest it as much as possible with an ardent prayer. Somebody said, grace. This is the prayer. We are trying to invoke his grace. You have taken us this much. By your grace, you are lifting us. You are holding us in your hand and taking us stage by stage. But don't leave us. Give us that jnana chakshu, the eye of wisdom. Just as Lord Krishna gave the eye of wisdom to Arjuna, please bless us with that. So that moment I will be able to see you in everybody. Really understand the name of Ram, whose name I have been chanting for decades. I think that is okay for today. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Om Shri Ram. Huh?
Well, you were reading that our eye touches, our finger touches the eye, that there is a pain. But when someone others eye touches, so which is that book?
Chinmayan.
Yes? Huh?
Yeah, they're talking
They are
among
talking
themselves.
about. Yes, you said? Huh?
No, they're talking among themselves.
Okay. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om.
Swamiji, in this connection, last time you mentioned about Hanumanji thing also.
Hari Om, Hari Om.